Brix's fan cast is Tom Holland? It is a period of civil war. The trans hosts of RuPalp's Podrace have gone rogue to talk about the High Republic. Again, I swear we think and talk about other things. My name is Jess. My pronouns are they, them. My social media is at Kawaii Jessio on TikTok and Twitter. And this week, we usually do, gender of the week, but since this is Rogue Ones, this time we're going to be answering the question, which of the High Republic Jedi would we like to be Padawans under? And I think I had a couple of them in my head. The top choices for me were Elzar and Stellan. One, because Stellan is the master for Vern, and he did such a good job with Vern, but also I think maybe actually Vern just taught herself and she was already an epic girl boss. So and then Elzar, because I relate to Elzar, so I was like, maybe he would be a good master, but at the same time he has a lot of issues, so maybe not Elzar. I think in the end I actually am gonna go with, no, I was gonna say Skier, but I was like, no, Skier's going through it. We're going back to Elzar. Yeah, final answer, Elzar.
I like that you got to Elzar through process of elimination.
Yeah.
I love that for you. My name is Ollie. My pronouns are they, them. You can find me on pretty much every social media at Ollie Fresh, fresh with a PH. And the Jedi that I would want to be a Padawan under, I've sort of tossed around a lot of options, but I have landed on, I believe, Nibasik. I just think she has fun, like grandma energy, but cool grandma. I feel like she'd let you do things your parents wouldn't let you do. But I also feel like we would vibe. She seems pretty chill, but she also seems like she's not afraid to kind of tell you what's up and be like, hey, cut that shit out, which I can appreciate in a person.
Hello, my name is Mel. I use they, them pronouns. You can find me on TikTok at Grunkle Rex, and everywhere else on the internet at Melvin Culpa. The Jedi I would like to train under, if I were a Padawan, in the High Republic. So I find myself a little conflicted because the Bel Zettifar Kinney in me is I think maybe Loden. Alternatively, I think Indira. Just simply think that I would also just get along with her as her being a mentor and a teacher. But at the end of the day, if I had to choose one, I think Cantum Sai. Which is not me being oh, I want to be part of Yoda's Jedi lineage. Because that is not it, actually. I think that Cantum, from the little that we have gotten from their perspective, which is not necessarily their perspective, but what we've seen of them, they just seem very epic and fun, and they're there to be a good teacher, and I respect that. And being on the Starhopper would be fun.
To be fair, I am outing myself as someone who does not hate Yoda. I think Yoda is okay. But that's one of Yoda's many branching lineages. Unfortunately, the lineage with Dooku, something went wrong there. I have fucked.
So I also agree. I don't think Yoda's horrible. I think if they had just let Yoda be a teacher and not have him be in charge of the Jedi Order, he probably would have been fine. But I do love the Virgin Dooku Yoda, Yoda Dooku lineage versus the Chad Yoda Cantum Sai lineage. I do also think something very funny is the concept that Yoda has only ever trained trans Padawans before, and then he got to Dooku and they were the only one we have left is cis, and he was oh no, okay, fine. And that's why, that's why Dooku's lineage ended up like that.
And then when Dooku left the Jedi Order and Yoda found out he was part of the fucking separatists and the Confederacy of Independent Systems, and he's oh, sis.
Down with cis.
Yoda is driving the Down with Cis bus. I'm obsessed with it.
He should.
Yeah, okay, let me make this clear. I don't think I actually hate Yoda. I've been thinking about this a lot, this specific last week, friends of the podcast, Star Wars English class, Vern and Julia, we were having a conversation the other day about like that lineage, and I do think it was Dooku who fucked up. Like, Yoda sure was Dooku's teacher, but at the end of the day there is something about like an oligarch who thinks he's better than everyone being a Jedi that is kind of problematic, and that is not Yoda's fault. That is Dooku being little Dooku.
Yoda really said, fix him, I can.
I do think about, since Mel and then friend of the pod, like Star Wars English class hosts Fern and Julia and then Noah, all of us watched Revenge of the Sith. I almost said Revenge of the Sith. I had to stop myself.
I mean, is that not what that movie is about?
But no, I was just thinking about fucking Yoda being like fucking up and everything falling apart, and Yoda being like, into exile, I must go. And I'm just like, Yoda, what the fuck? But at the same time, I think I do the same thing.
Hey, Mel.
Yeah?
What's up with your name in the Zoom chat? Do you want to share with the class?
It is XX broken _ Dooku XX, except for broken is spelled with a 0 and a 3, and Dooku is spelled with 2 zeros. That is what I do think that Dooku's username is everywhere.
I hate that.
I hate that. Okay, I do hate that Jocasta knew and him dated, and that was like her being like her high school boyfriend, and then she grew up and was like, oh my god, I cannot believe.
Anyway, let's talk about the High Republic.
Oh my god. Yoda was there though. Also,
I mean, wait. Let's talk about that real quick. He's there in the sense that he is there very briefly and then disappears in a passion.
He's there for the first few issues.
Yeah, he's there for like the first arc, and then it's like, I have to disappear.
He's there in the same way that that Plo Koon is there, and that he is alive, but we don't know where he is.
Show us Plo Koon in the High Republic.
Plo Koon in the High Republic. I'm so sorry for the person I would become if that happened, because truly I would not talk about anything else ever.
POV, the Fallen Star is about Plo Koon.
It's like how fucking Chief Tarfful is also technically alive. Where is he? Show me this Wookiee.
Oh my god, Tarfful. Like the thing, it's like, oh yeah, broke is R2D2 knows everything. Woke is that Tarfful knows everything.
What if Tarfful's actually related to Burry? This is my new headcanon.
Oh my god, Tarfful's oh my god! Okay, sorry, this is niche, but like how Thrawn's sister was taken, it's like Burry was Tarfful's brother who got taken because he was force sensitive. Oh my god, I love all those parallels between Tarfful and Thrawn.
I hate you.
Do we want to talk about the High Republic?
I guess.
The Rising Storm? Is that where we're starting?
Yeah, so just so everyone knows, we are going to talk about, and there will be spoilers through everything that has come out thus far.
Except for Tempest Runner and Edge of Balance.
Yeah, we aren't going to get into those. But today specifically, we're talking about the Rising Storm, High Republic Adventures, Race to Crash Point Tower, and Out of the Shadows, as well as some other fun stuff. But those are what the spoilers are for.
Also, technically, a Treasury of like Life Day or whatever the heck that just came out too. We're not talking about that, but that I guess is also technically a canon story. So
here's my spoiler for that that book. I have not read it, but this is what I do assume Stellan Gios is doing in that book. I do think that he has realized that Life Day is happening, and he has not gotten his Grand Padawan Imri Canteros a gift, so he's gonna go to the store and get him some. I don't know.
Deal with all the freaking last minute shopping.
And he's just trying to get him a fruit roll up. He's not even trying to get him a real gift. He's like, what do kids want? Fruit roll up, right?
I do like the idea of Stellan opening his wallet and being like, oh, my council member pension has not been put into my account yet.
We don't have direct deposit. We have to we get checks and we have to put them in.
Stellan deposited his check and he's like, oh, I don't have access to it. And Elzar's like, why don't you just use your credit card? He's like, I don't have a credit card.
I do like the idea of Elzar like taking out a credit card in Stellan's name and not telling him, and then being like, "So actually, you do. It is in some debt, though. So
not Elzar making Stellan have bad credit."
The idea of Master Rosason calling, like, they call like a council meeting, and they're like, Master Gios, we have to talk about the debt you've accrued. And he's like, what? And like, you need to have a credit score over 700 to be on the Jedi Council. And you are 50,000 credits in debt. And he's like, what? I'm a very frugal spender. I don't even have a credit card. And they're like, well,
wow.
Funny story about that, actually. You do.
Just like, then he has to talk to Elzar, being like, Elzar, identity theft is a crime.
Fallen Star is about Stellan trying to figure out who stole his identity and why the Fallen Star is him falling because he's in debt.
It's his star on his credit score.
Fallen credit score.
I do like the celebrity. I do like GoFundMe celebrity Stellan Gios. He's like, hey guys, my best friend did fuck up my credit score, so if you guys could donate to my GoFundMe, because I am a Jedi and I have money to spend, but not that much money, so if you could just like help me there, goodbye.
The idea of him
Stellan Gios does cameos.
I was just about to say Stellan Gios does cameos. Are you fucking kidding me? No, the idea of Stellan having to do a cameo and Vern having to help him set up his account, and he's like, okay, so what do I say? And she's like, they sent you everything, it's all right there. And he's like, okay, so wait, what do I say?
Not Stellan being like bad at like technology dad and needs his fucking daughter to set up everything.
Boomer Stellan is everything to me.
Oh my god, Vernestra showing him like images on the HoloNet, and he's just like, oh, is that your friend?
Is that he sees like Vern shows him like a space TikTok, and he's like, is that Wreath? And she's like, no.
Stop. Okay, the way I was gonna be like the way that Vern like shows him a video of the fucking Yodel boy from Walmart, and Stellan is like, is that Wreath? And she's like, no! In what world would that be Wreath?
He's like, oh wait, you're right, they're younger and they're blonde. Is that Imri? Is that Grand Padawan?
He's like, oh my gosh, no. I didn't know Imri had such a nice singing voice. And she's like, Master. No. Elzar is like, Stellan, here, look, follow me on TikTok. He's like, I don't know what that is.
I do think that Elzar, if he has a TikTok, it is much like Quinlan Voss's, where I think he's just doing like backflips or some bullshit.
I do like subscribe to Elzar Man's OnlyMans.
Not OnlyMans. Get out of here. Anyway, speaking of OnlyMans, Elzar does get a little bit NSFW in this book.
Oh my god, yes. He canonized having sex in Star Wars.
Move over, Padme and Anakin. Elzar fucks.
I do like one of those like clickbait articles, like those like that are like, oh, did the High Republic just canonize sex in Star Wars? Not clickbait. And it's a picture of Elzar Man with a picture of Anakin crying photoshopped next to him. Because that's like what all of those clickbait articles look like. I don't know why.
Technically, they already talked about sex though in Into the Dark.
You're right. Well, to be fair, Wreath said they don't. So Wreath said they don't have sex. So they decanonized it again.
Wreath decanonized it, and then Elzar canonized. He brought it out of Legends.
Do we want to talk about the Rising Storm? Actually,
yes. I mean, we got into like the big thing. Just kidding. That's not the main thing of this. Elzar fucks.
Good for him.
Yeah.
Except it didn't feel super. It felt bad.
It did feel bad. He woke up alone in bed and he was just like, what the fuck happened?
He's like, what year is it?
I do like the fact that we do have canon like ass out Elzar Man. Like he just was like, yeah, fuck, where are my pants? Goodbye. Anyways.
Yeah, I did like that. Let's talk about a little bit about like the crux of that story, which is the Republic Fair. Republic Fair, man, what's going on with that? I do think it's very funny. So for those of you who've read The Rising Storm, there is a part towards the beginning, I believe in like chapter I want to say 10 or 11. It's in those first 15-ish chapters where they are having Chancellor Lena So is having a council meeting or a Senate meeting, and the shipyard that is holding the very special ship that they have does get attacked. And I do think it's very funny when Senator Tia Toon is like, hey girl, maybe this is not a good idea. And he's obviously very selfish about it. And he is like, it's all like, he is talking about it from like a financial perspective. And she's like, no, it's a sign of solidarity. And I'm like, girl, like, I do love you. But she does have a line where she says, I don't remember what the exact line is, but she says something along the lines of like, Hetzal is stronger than it was before the events of the hyperspace incident. And I'm like, hey bestie, like 20 million people died on one planet, a lot more died across the galaxy. Like, Lena, girl, I love you. But and that's the thing too, I'm not sure how much of a commentary they're trying to do on like how the elite don't actually experience the problems of the poor.
Yeah, I think that is actually a central thesis of the book is that because I think it's one about failure and like ignorance, because we see it basically throughout not only just like Lena So's like whole plot line, but like Elzar's failing of like, if he reached out to people, they are there for him, and he needed to like come to accept that, but because he didn't, he like went to Valo, and he internalized all this shit, and then it became like a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? And then like Belle's whole thing of like holding on to this hope for Loden being alive and fine, and then it's like, oh, Loden is fine and well. Just kidding, fuck you.
Yeah, but I do hate to agree with Tia Toon, but there was a moment where I was like, he do kind of have a point though.
There's points where it's just like, okay, Toon is kind of right, but also fuck Senator Toon. 9-Nub is better than you.
Yeah, you'll never be 9-Nub. You'll never, how dare you stand where he stood.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about specifically also the scene where fucking he's with the Checkats. Is that what their name are? Fucking forgot their names. Anyways, but like
Lion.
Ty, yes, and like Ty is there, and he's like, oh, what the fuck have you guys brought me? Like, what were you expecting, bestie? What shady deal that is happening at the Republic Fair is like, oh, this is gonna be above the board, that this random inventor was like, come meet me at this location.
He may have been right about the Republic Fair being quite dangerous and a bad idea. However, that does not mean that he has common sense. The other thing that I am thinking about with that scene, where Ty and everyone does meet.
Ty almost murders Elzar, man.
She does almost break Stellan's nose, which is very funny. I also do think it's very funny that the idea too in that scene is that device powered on, and that's the only reason she did not stab Elzar man through the chest.
Okay, but here's the problem. If you look at her lightsaber hilt, it's still very pointy and sharp.
I'm like, how deep in did she go? Because I do think the way that the book describes it, I assume it's a very superficial wound. But I do think it's funny, the idea that she did shove like these 3-inch long, basically knives into his stomach. And he's like, I'm fine. Don't worry.
He's just going to walk it off. He's like, it is what it is.
Stellan's like, oh my God, we need to get you to a hospital. And he's like, it's whatever. Don't worry about it. It's fine.
I also like that scene because, like I live tweeted my exact reaction when it happened, but like Belle and Stellan are having this conversation where Stellan's like trying to be very supportive and like, I'm so sorry you're going through all of this, like this really sucks, and then he like his attention like goes somewhere else and he's like, oh fuck, and like runs off, and Belle's like, I thought, can someone please support me, god damn. And he follows him and Elzar's like, who the fuck are you?
I do love Elzar immediately sees Belle and is like, you're not supposed to be here. You are a little boy, little child. Get away.
I'm the only one who's allowed to be a poor little meow meow right now.
Which does lead into what I was gonna sort of pitch. There's been a lot of controversy about what is and what is not a poor little meow meow. And I can't explain it exactly, but I do believe Elzar Man falls into that category. because he has a moral struggle. He's not a fascist. And he's just going through it. He's just a poor little guy, you know?
Okay, I will say that I will agree with you that Elzar man can be a poor little meow meow, because I did, look up the origins of poor little meow meowism, and it was from the K-pop stands. And I'm pretty sure that BTS boy is not like a fascist or criminal. So everyone who keeps attaching poor little meow meow to fucking fascists or characters that have done really terrible things, you need to stop. The K-pop fans are gonna start gatekeeping.
Oh my god.
I'm not a K-pop stan. I saw the K-pop stands getting upset.
So I would like to punctuate that by saying, yeah, I don't think Marchion, like, I think it's funny to say Marchion Rose a poor little meow meow, but he is not a poor little meow meow. In this book, really, I think the ending of the oh my god, I said that almost with The Last Jedi. Yeah, do you guys remember that part of The Last Jedi where Marchion Rose there? Okay,
okay, actually though, I did just think about it, because there are actually like the parallels between the end of this book with Loden, Belle, and Marchion, and Rey, Luke, and Kylo Ren.
A little bit, yeah.
Also, I will say one of the qualifications for being a poor little meow meow, in my opinion, is that you can't be in control of any given situation.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like Marchion Ro has too much control.
Yeah, I would say Belle might be a poor little meow meow.
My problem is I don't think Belle has the moral struggle. He doesn't have like a moral qualm, where Elzar does have that moment of like, where like he does, maybe I should be evil now. Yeah, and then he's like, oh, actually, never mind.
Hey Ty, can you please do me a solid real quick?
She said, bonk you on the head. Stop being evil.
I was gonna say that, like, I don't know, Marc in this book was a lot, because not only is there like the whole situation with the Republic Fair, but every scene that gentleman is in, I get angry. Like even like chapter fucking 1 where he's there with his cool little bird boyfriend man and he's meeting his aunt. I'm just like, fuck you. Like, he is clearly manipulating his bird boyfriend. I keep on forgetting that gentleman's name, so I just keep on calling him his bird boyfriend. Because I'm re-listening to The Rising Storm right now, and he's like, oh yeah, this is my friend, and the birdman is like, oh, we're besties? Oh, that's so epic, thank you so much. And then, like, 5 chapters later, Marc does murder him in a passion.
I mean, here's the thing. I did want to bring this up because we do have a listener friend of the pod at Coughing Skywalker on TikTok, who, when I said, hey, does anyone have anything they want us to talk about on the episode, he said, can you guys talk about Marc's bird boyfriend from the beginning of The Rising Storm? And I'm like, no, we cannot. But except for the fact that was what I thought. I believe I was texting Mel when I was reading the book, and I was like, "Aw, I like Marc's little bird booty call." And then I was like, "Well, no more birdie for Marc."
Marc fucking like manipulated this poor birdman. It's just like, yeah, sure, I can be your boyfriend, but not really. I'm about to fucking end your life.
I can be your angel or your devil.
Okay, also, can we talk about the fact too that this birdman apparently Marc did tell this man about Mari? Like, what is the like? What? Okay, I'm obsessed.
Marc said,
with,
I'm gonna kill this man, so I'm just gonna let him in on all my secrets.
I'm gonna trauma dump on him.
I'm just like, I'm obsessed with the relationship these two have. I'm like, what is going on with you two? But speaking of Marc being horrible, so when they describe what was going on with Loden, not good. It's pretty troubling. Deeply troubling.
He was being tortured for a fucking year. That man didn't sleep for a year because fucking Marc is terrible.
They held his eyes open for a year.
And they cut his leku off. I was like, yeah, girl, this is cruel and unusual punishment.
With his own lightsaber.
lightsaber. And
also, the way that he has not, then he got up and walked away for a little bit. I was like, dang, Loden really is built different.
They also like surrounded him with like other like prisoners that they were torturing to just amplify fucking Loden having to feel all that negative energy. And just like, what the fuck? Marc, my enemy, why are you like that? Why would you do that to Loden?
I have a very specific memory of a time in my life where I was in a situation where I was in I was being woken up every morning by someone playing We Didn't Start the Fire by Billy Joel every morning. And it did drive me a little crazy, so I do call that my hell song, and I do like the idea of in Loden's prison situation, We Didn't Start the Fire by Billy Joel keeps him awake 24/7. Anyways.
I feel like, well, here's the thing. I also feel like Eye of the Tiger would be a funny one, just because I feel like it needs a little spice. For him specifically, you know, I feel like that's your song. We can't. It's not going to mean the same thing to Loden as it will to you. They play taps.
Now, like that Mel mentioned that song, I'm thinking about like in Parks and Rec, Leslie, like nope, fucking being like, I'm gonna play Jerry's option, and it was that song, and being like, and I'm gonna sing along, but I don't know the lyrics, and that's fucking Mark just going in and torturing Loden by singing that song, but not singing any of the words correctly. So Mark just coming up with different words to the tune of that song.
I do like
Lena so Targon, Elzar man, ding dong. I don't know any other words.
That's it. That's Mel's vocabulary. Wow.
I love Elzar man ding dong.
Wow, that's my favorite. That's my favorite part from The Rising Storm is Elzar man ding dong. That's like that. Put that in quotes. From Samira. That's what she said.
I'm sorry, but Elzar man does get pegged, so
absolutely his whole butt was out. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I'm just saying that it does feel accurate, supported by the text.
Samira is another epic girl boss of the High Republic. She
is.
Pegged Elzar man, and then later on when he awkwardly is just like, hey, so about us sleeping together, you know, and she's just like, yeah, no attachments. Can you leave? I'm trying to fucking work.
That was truly a girl boss moment. She was really like, oh my god, that's so cool. Anyway, I have shit to do. Can you leave? And he's like,
unlike you, I have a fucking job.
Yeah, I do really like Samira. I do like also how they managed to make like a scene where it shows like Elzar being like, I'm not sure what I'm doing with my life, and not have it be like, oh, sex bad. And it wasn't like a very like, oh, sex is a like an allegory for evil, which I think a lot of media does. And it also didn't reduce Samira to simply the object of his affections for the moment, which I really like. Like, she was still a very like fleshed out and interesting character who I cared about, aside from just being the person who pegged Elzar man. So I did like that. I thought that was kind of a nice change of pace. I still do have like kind of my issues with the idea of being like, he's having a struggle morally. You know what we should do? Let's have him fuck. Just because I think that's so often used as a plot device for like, as an allegory for feeling like conflicted or feeling like the dark side. I'm like, okay, that's
more like the dork side anyways.
I do like after that moment fucking like, you know, Stellan also being there, and he's like, hey bestie, what was that about? And Elzar being like, oh,
don't worry about it anyways.
Don't worry about it. When are we gonna get the High Republic book where Stellan and Elzar go on their fucking epic bros therapy and relaxation vacation?
I do want to also talk about just like women in The Rising Storm, because I tend to agree with you. I think that Samira, like, I liked her outside of her being like, oh, hey girly, and it really was refreshing because when I was initially reading it, I was like, oh god, like I had been burnt, I'd been hurt once by Nan. I was like, oh god, does Samira like work for the Night? Like, what's happening here? I'm scared, because, you know, media tends to do this thing where it's like, yes, have sex, she is evil. But she wasn't. She was like, I have a job to do, goodbye. And I it's the same with the journalist character. I'm trying to remember her name. Rill
Dyro.
Yeah. She was like, I have shit to do. This is why I'm here. This is my job. I'm gonna run away from Lourna D and her comically large axe. Goodbye.
Do you like girl boss versus girl boss? That's very powerful.
Not girl boss and girl boss violence.
I mean, is that not the plot of The Rising Storm?
I mean, yeah, when Lena So gets her shit rocked. Yeah.
Yeah, by Lourna
Oh,
D.
By Lourna D.
I do love that. The other thing, I guess let's talk too about like fun Republic Fair moments. We did get a lot of like really interesting gay people in this book. Like we got to see Kit Ripso, who is Chancellor Lena So's son, go on a fun little date and sneak off with his
he snuck off
fun
and
little
they're like,
buddy.
He's like, where's my son? With the other son. They're having a little gay moment. Leave them alone.
I also loved that. I loved Belle's involvement with that story because it starts with Kitra being like, I have to cockblock Belle Zettifar right fucking now, even though Belle was not trying to do anything. He was just like doing his job of being like, I am Belle Zettifar. I'm a Jedi. Hi, I'm just a little guy. And
this is my dog.
Yeah, and this is my epic dog. And Kitra being like, no, he's too handsome. I gotta interfere. And then getting like saved by Belle and being like, oh, we have trauma bonded. Great. Thank you.
Belle in this book is just a breath of fresh air. His whole story is it's so good. Like the ending, truly, I think a lot of people like, I think the thing about The Rising Storm is where it's like, oh yes, like this is all very real and a lot of people are dying. And then the thing happens at the end. It's like, oh, it's over. It just ends like that. A little context, I was listening to the audiobook at work. And I did finish it like 2 hours before I was off. I was like, well, now what do I do? Oh my God, life is meaningless.
For my fun context is I finished The Rising Storm immediately after the first half of the Bad Batch season 1 finale. So like, Kamino was destroyed and everyone was like, oh fuck, this is really fucked up. And everyone was like, okay, going to bed. I was like, okay, good night, friends. Time to finish this book. And then
Okay.
Sage was like, Jess, I think you should wait until later to finish this. I was like, I gotta finish it right now. And then I was like, what the fuck? No, now I'm even more sad.
Okay, 2 things about that. One is the fact that during the Bad Batch finale, spoilers for the Bad Batch, when Omega is trying to pull Crosshair out of the water, that scene does happen with Belle and some guy.
Yeah.
I do believe we were watching the episode, and I guess I also had to have been listening to The Rising Storm because I when we were watching it, I was like, oh, epic Belle Zettifar moment. Oh no, yeah. It was part 2. It was part 2 when Omega is like helping Crosshair that I was like, oh, this is a sick Belle Zettifar reference.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was fun because you finished it like a day or 2 after me.
Yes. But, my epic context for that reading that was I was just home and I was just listening to it. And I did have a mental breakdown after it because Belle and Loden are my favorite characters, and so I was like, fuck me. This hurts so badly. I had a little bit of a mental breakdown and then I immediately went into Crash Point Tower. But I'm trying to think, what was I going to say that was funny about this situation. Oh,
I remember you live tweeting and me like responding to, or no, making a tweet being like, me watching Mel's live tweets right now. It was like Kermit looking scared.
Because everything's going so well and then it just fucking shits and farts at the very like last 2 chapters. But I have very distinct memory of seeing that tweet and then like shit hitting the fan, and then also that same exact day that I finished reading The Rising Storm, fucking Charles Soule had tweeted this a picture of Loden Greatstorm and was like, I'm so excited to be writing Loden again. And so I thought that Loden survived the book, and so I was going into it like, oh my god, thank god, like this is a weight off of my fucking chest, and then he fucking disintegrated and I was like, fuck you, I can't with this.
So speaking of Loden's ashes, I did want to say, Jess, you mentioned Sage. So TikTok user at Sage Sindula, friend of the pod, did introduce us all to a fun theory about what we think the leveler is. And I do want to say, in this book, we do get a lot of stuff about the Nihil. I think it's very fun and cool of Marchion Road to commit chemical warfare against Pan Eta. That's very cringe. And then he did try to do it to Loden, and Loden's like, girl, no. I'm going to simply jump away, which I can respect. So the leveler, Sage did say her theory, which is that the leveler removes force sensitivity. And I think it makes sense considering the first part, he's so sure to bring someone, in this case, Udi Diz, who's the Birdman who was force sensitive.
Boyfriend.
Yeah, his ex-boyfriend, now ex-boyfriend. He was very careful to make sure that like he was force sensitive and how he was feeling the entire time. And then at the end, at the end of like that portion of the story, Dis was like having kind of a moment where he was like, why am I not feeling the attacks coming? And why am I not doing XYZ? And he did say like the force is different for him than it is for a lot of like Jedi. Because he was like, yeah, I feel the vibrations. There was so much there, but I feel like it definitely makes sense that the leveler would be like a removal of force sensitivity.
Yeah, and then the fact that they mentioned, Loden being turned to fucking ash. Kevin Scott, why would you do this to us? But he still kind of kept his shapes because they were like, oh, that's fucking Loden. But yeah, it touched that and he disintegrated into a pile of ash. So that epic moment, not epic moment, but that moment in Rebels, spoilers for Star Wars Rebels, at the end of season 2 when they're on Malachor, and then there's all those like Jedi and Sith who like you think they're statues, but no, they touch that and they are fucking ash. They crumbled away to a pile of ash. Do you think that's like the leveler caused that too, or like something similar is going on here?
So I actually do have a theory about that. And Mel and I were talking about it, I think, yesterday. I believe that the leveler, because clearly we know in the beginning of the Rising Storm, Marchion Ro is talking to Kufa and he's like, yeah, this thing like still works and it's been frozen and it's all this stuff like about how it's like been long gone, but now it's coming back. We know that the Sith Wars happened like years and years and years, like hundreds of years ago, however many, I don't know, I'm a fake Star Wars fan.
But sure that's like during the Old Republic, right? So
yeah, it happened a long time ago.
In a galaxy far, far away.
Yeah, no, exactly. Oh my gosh, just like Star Wars. But I do believe that the leveler was used on Malachor at that Sith temple. And then after that, the Jedi were like, girl, this is no good. Because we do know that Marchion Ro's family has some connection to the Jedi and had like teamed up with them or something and then got double crossed or whatever. Like there's something there. So the idea of Marchion Ro's family having like the leveler or whatever his deal is, like having the leveler, and then the Jedi seeing it happen and being like, uh-oh, I don't think so. And then putting it away forever. And then Mark finally being like, yeah, I'm going to go get it. I think that is very likely.
Yeah, I've got a few things I want to say. I was just looking at my copy of The Rising Storm because I was listening to it today while I was driving home from work, and Kufa, who is like Mark's fucking aunt, says something.
His cousin,
sorry.
She's a girl boss. Don't disrespect Kufa.
Sorry, Kufa. Rip Kufa, fly high, legend. But she's talking about like the familial legacy of like the leveler and like the Rose, and she says something to the effect of like it's something about like nothingness and null, which I think is interesting. I think that there could very easily in the Marchion Ro comic that's gonna come out in January, like having this conversation of Asgard choosing the Nihil because he's a bitch and is like, I love symbolism. My people like are bringing nothing. Not bringing nothing like bringing nothing, but like are the absence of something. And that's very interesting. Also, I find it very hateful that Belle perceives the Force as fire and Loden goes out as ash. It fucking hurts. I was just thinking about it and I'm trying not to cry. So
the symbolism of that. Oh no, I'm gonna
Kevin Scott, fucking meet me in the pit.
Also, I am now thinking about the fact that the leveler is Mark does say, for those of you who don't know, Marchion Ro, Mark does say that like the leveler is not its real name, that's just what they're calling it. I don't know if it's like a code or if it has an agent name, but I have been thinking a lot about like what's the implications of the leveler, because the idea of it being like, oh, it takes away force sensitivity, so it puts everyone on like a level playing field. No one's force sensitive. I'm also thinking what if it like transfers it and it like takes it and it's like you know the quote from The Incredibles where he's like, if everyone's super, no one is.
Hey, Ollie, I did just put in the chat, he giveth and taketh away.
But I am thinking, because spoilers for Out of the Shadows, jumping ahead. So Mari Santeca does give whatever path to Vernestra. I am having a moment where I'm like, is Marc gonna try to take that from her? Because I cannot deal with that. Get him away from her. And we'll talk about that a little more when we actually move on to that book. But
the High Republic Adventures, personally, I do enjoy it a little bit more than the main High Republic story. Not to say that I don't like that story, because I really do. I think that there's just something very charming about them all being like little baby Padawans, and like, oh, like nothing bad could happen to these little kiddos, right? Thinking about that fucking image of Court and his broken ass mask, and everyone was like, oh my god, he's dead. No, guys, he just got bigger. He's a little boy growing. Speaking of which, I'm obsessed with Court. He is my favorite character, I think, in all of Star Wars. He's just a little guy.
He's just a little guy. Court is so precious. I do also want to say something very cool that this introduces us to is, I think that this is really one of the first really deep looks into like, what do the Jedi mean and what does Force sensitivity mean to certain people and certain people in the universe, because we know Zine does come from a people who are like Force bad. Like, keep the Force sensitives out.
Yeah, it's more like they didn't see the Force as bad, but they're just like people who try to use the Force. They're bad because the Force is its own thing and we shouldn't mess with it.
Yeah.
And so Zine was like, fuck, I can use the Force, but that's bad. I should not do this. And I feel like that's really sad for her. So I'm glad she found the other Padawans, her GF.
I did just realize that it's like an allegory for being gay. And
oh my god.
I mean, Zine was literally outed, and then Crix was like, I don't want to be friends with you anymore. Crix confirmed homophobe?
Yes.
Oh my god, we've solved it, guys.
Oh my god, we've connected the dots.
Oh yeah, this is a story about a gay girl, like, learning that, like, it's okay to be gay.
I love that for her. She and all her little gay friends on the Starhopper. Also, I did not realize Ferzala was supposed to be a Zygerian until I did Google it. I knew that, I think Mel or Jess, someone had told me that there was a Zygerian when I read them, and I was like, oh, okay. And then I was like, where was the Zygerian?
No, I remember me and Mel texting each other because Mel was just like, wait, Ferzala's a Zygerian? I was like, huh? And then the two of us being like, what? But I think you were still reading something else at the time. You weren't at that point.
He just looks like a large, furry Evan Peel. But yeah, I do really like the High Republic Adventures. I also think it introduces us to a lot of very fun characters. Two of my favorites, one we've already referenced in Master Cantum Sai, who is very epic. Also, Torban, Buckets of Blood, Buck, my icon, who I love dearly.
Cantum Sai's epic boyfriend.
Truly, listen, I will push the agenda of Cantum Sai / Buckets of Blood. I will be the one to captain that ship. Let's do it.
I'm on board. I'm jumping on the ship with you.
But yeah, it is really cool. I know the High Republic comic writers did say, here, have some they thems. Enjoy. This is for you.
Hello, LGBT community. Anyways, yeah, so Cantum Sai, I am obsessed with them. I also, in the most recent issue of the High Republic Adventures, we do find out that they are Yoda's Padawan, or they were Yoda's Padawan, and that is a lot.
I just want to bring up fucking Marc and Crix. That
we should probably talk about that. Yeah. A single mom who works 2 jobs, Marchion Row.
Like, it does really seem like, I know this is more spoilers for like the more recent issues of High Republic Adventures, but like it does really seem like Marc is training Crix to be like his successor. The fact that they have like matching outfits too, I fucking hate both of them so goddamn much.
Marchion Row is gay and homophobic, right? We all agree on that?
Yeah. I think it's because like the internalized homophobia, because I do think Asgard Rome was really homophobic, and since Mark is gay, fuck, he's just dealing with that, with his shitty dad being like, no son of mine is gonna be gay, and fucking Mark being like, I'm not gay. Fuck gay people, but at the same time he's like,
fuck gay people.
Fuck gay people.
Oh my god.
Oh god, and that's why Crix is homophobic, but Crix is
Crix is just homophobic.
Yeah, Crix is just homophobic.
Crix does have Nor/Maul in his bio.
So that is the problem with Crix, I believe, is that because these are all children in the High Republic adventures, I do kind of picture him as like this middle school like Fortnite derogatory kid, where he like is listening to Chug Jug, the Epic remix, and is like, I am going to be homophobic because I think it's funny. And then he like his BFF is gay, and he's like, oh, I can't hang. My mom said I can't hang out with you anymore because you're gay.
I do also like him listening to Chug Jug. Like, he thinks it's very funny. He's like, I think like he likes that song, and then Zine is like, oh yeah, that's his favorite song. Then Zine comes to Starlight Beacon, is hanging out with them, and like Farzala and Court put that song on like their funny like meme playlist, and it plays, and she's like, I knew someone and this was his favorite song, and they're like, oh, I'm so sorry. So they put on that Minecraft remix. It's like, Creeper, oh man, and she's like, this was his other favorite song.
See, I do think that Farzala and Court are like Fortnite players positive, which seems like strange to say because I don't know if there is a positive to Fortnite.
Oh, come on. Don't be anti-gamer.
I'm not being anti-gamer. I'm just saying, Fortnite, why were you the reason that we got the Palpatine return speech?
What?
Yeah, did you not know? Okay, so I'm so sorry. I thought you guys knew. So in the sequels, like we skip to like, oh, Poe saying somehow Palpatine returned. Palpatine's speech where he returns was released in Fortnite.
Yeah, fuck, I forgot. I fucking erased this from my memory, but now you've unlocked it.
Yeah.
So there's that. Anyway,
that's deeply upsetting. Thank you.
Another thing I wanted to bring up before we move to Crash Point was, we mentioned this in the beginning, but fucking Yoda dipping out. It wasn't like, where did he go? Like him and like the other old men from like Zine and Crix's little like village. They're just like, we gotta go on our like old person adventure. Goodbye.
They went to the beach from old.
But we've never seen them again. It's been a fucking year. Yoda, where did you fucking go? They fucking ask. They're like, oh man. Or they bring it up, right? Where they're just like, man.
Yeah, they're like, is Master Yoda
fucking gone?
Yeah, and Cantum Sai and Buckets of Blood are like, yeah, we do not know where he is.
There's just something very funny about that gentleman. I think it also would be pretty epic if he's just like on fucking, oh god, what? I'm a fake Star Wars fan. I'm trying to remember, is it Dagobah that Yoda's on in?
Both just go to Dagobah.
They're just like having like on a vacation. They're like refurbishing Yoda's hut for when he has to use it later on in his life.
I do like the concept of this being Yoda, who's been to the world between worlds and does know he's going to end up marooned on Dagobah. So he's like, set up my beachfront property, you must.
Fucking, I feel so bad for that old man. He's just like, I'll tell you all these secrets about this shit, Crix, because you're the only one I have. And Crix is like, yeah, go ahead, tell me. And then at the first chance, Crix fucking guy was just like, yeah, that comm link you found, that's not mine. That's his. And I know all this man's like secrets, so take me in, Mark.
Mark's small legion of child soldiers is very upsetting to me because you have Crix and then also, yeah, two of them. I just hate that he has like his like adoring child fans, Nan and Crix.
The fucking Marchion Row fan club of fucking Crix and Nan is upsetting.
Every adult who knows him close fucking hates him. Like all of the Tempest runners are like, I hate like none of them like him. None of them liked his dad. Like I think his whole family may just be rancid.
I'm just saying, Pan Etta tried to unionize and then got his shit rocked. And I think that's hateful.
You're wrong. There was one adult that liked him, but he's dead now. It was the bird.
Booty Dis being like, it's okay, Marchion, I still like you. That is how he sounds in the audiobook for those of you who do not listen to
Okay,
it.
I was about to say, I listened to part of the audiobook. I think like the middle. I listened to an audiobook because I was doing laundry. So you doing that voice was deeply upsetting.
I do love Marc Thompson, but some of his voices really do make the book hard to listen to, especially when it's Marchion Ro. His Marchion Ro voice is very good, but his Marchion Ro voice, his Kufa voice, and his Dis voice all together were psychic damage to me.
He is the canon Marchion Ro voice because the Tempest Runner audio drama, but y'all are sleeping on the best part of Marc Thompson's performance of the audiobook, which was the United song. The song that's epic song that plays during the fucking fair.
Would you perhaps, which canonically Porter Engle does have stuck in his head.
And the fact that it is playing in the background while the Nihil are fucking attacking the fair, and you still just hear that song playing.
That's what Marc plays to load and to torture him.
We are one, we are many, we are me, we are you. So much joy, so much love, so much peace, it is true. From distant worlds, distant planets, we stand together and sing. The future's bright and united, let the galaxy ring.
So that is it in times 2 speed. I will admit to the fact that when I have been driving home from work recently, I have been kind of going like, we are one, we are many, we are we are you. So much joy, so good, love, so much peace. It is true. Like, I have memorized the entire song, unfortunately, but I only know it in times 2 speed.
Because of how the whole lore for that is because when I didn't have the physical copy of the Rising Storm when I first went through it, so I just listened to the audiobook, but I was speedrunning, so I was listening at 2 times speed, and when I got to that part I was like, what the fuck, there's a song in this book, and it made me feel insane, so I did record that part and then post it on Twitter. And so everyone learned about that at 2 times speed, and they're just like, oh, that's how that sounds.
It really speaks to me because it does just remind me of It's a Small World. Because I think that's basically what Kevin Scott was trying to parody, right?
Yeah.
And so, just like, It's a Small World, Porter Engle humming It's a Small World as he fights people to death is very funny.
POV, the last thing you see, you're on Nihil, and the last thing you see is Porter Engle humming that song, bringing his lightsaber down on your head.
The Blade of Bardotta is singing, has prepared a song for you.
Anyway, okay, let's finally go the Crash Point Tower now, I guess. Our race to Crash Point Tower was not a race. We walked there very slowly.
Yeah. I will say during that Nihil attack, this is okay, so once again, because I was speedrunning, I feel very bad because I listened to it, and I do know that I enjoyed it very much, but there are some plot points that just are lost to the sands of time for me, because the one thing I can very distinctly remember in that book is Ram being like, why are you incarcerating me? Please, I am a Jedi. I have to tell people. If they had just listened to that fucking 14-year-old boy, be like, hey guys, I do think something bad's about to happen, Valo would be, I wouldn't say fine, but better than how it is now.
Elzar's vision should have shown him Ram getting put in jail. Honestly, if that had happened instead of his stupid vision where everyone's all dead or whatever, wow, that was so eloquent of me. Dude, Elzar's stupid vision where everyone's all dead or whatever. But if it had just shown him a little boy in jail, he could have been like, oh, hold on.
I gotta save my boy. I've lost my boy.
I'm fucking thinking about because same with Mel, where I only remember kind of major plot points of that book, or all the other smaller details I also don't fucking remember. But I do distinctly remember the part where Ram is trying to send a message, and that fucking cop is just like, no. And he's like, please, please, I'm a Jedi. He's just like, you don't look like a fucking Jedi. He's just like, I swear, please. And he tries to do the fucking mind trick, but the cop, it doesn't even fucking work. It's only like half working, or he's just like, we need to like send a message. He's like, I have to do this. He's like, what? No. He's like, you need to let me through. He's just like, I have to do this, me, the cop. And Ram's just like, what? I guess this is as best as it's gonna get, but he still gets thrown in jail, so poor Ram.
I think something also very interesting about that part of the book is, this is the other scene I really distinctly remember because of how it's kind of different in The Rising Storm. Ty and Ram breaking out of jail felt very different, and maybe it was just how things were being described because it's a middle grade book, and so like I don't want to say it's like not as complex, but like I had a much more clear idea of what was going on during that fight. I also felt like Ram, and I don't know if this is just like a thing about like point of view, and because Ram is our point of view character, he has decided to tell the story wherein he is the one actively getting them out of prison, and Ty is just like, oh, thanks, kid. Anyway, see you later, loser. And then helps him with the dragon later or some shit. But I feel like in The Rising Storm, Ty is much more like, oh, fuck, I have to go save this fucking kid now. Anyways, bye.
Yeah, it really could just be Ram. From his point of view, he's like, I am the competent one here, when in the truth, it was actually Ty.
Ty is like, so true, bestie. Thank you so much for helping me. Anyways, I'll see you later, my best friend.
If this were Star Wars English class, we could talk about, unreliable like narrator or whatever the term is. I'm so sorry, Julian, for that I'm forgetting. Please don't deduct this from my grade in Star Wars English class.
Fuck, we're failing. Fuck.
No, I wake up in a cold sweat. I failed Star Wars English class. The other part that I did want to talk about, from Race to Crash Point Tower, because much like my co-hosts here, I also was speedrunning, and Crash Point Tower, while I did enjoy it, I was reeling from the end of The Rising Storm. I did want to talk about that little conversation, though, that really stuck with me was between Vernestra and Lula, where Lula was like, dang, how do I not feel like some sort of loser? Like, even though I'm doing very well, I feel like I'm not doing well enough. And it was a very like good description of like imposter syndrome. And I think that's something I continue to be impressed with the middle grade books for the High Republic. Is I felt this a lot in A Test of Courage. It gave very accurately talked about grief and different reactions to grief. And this talked very much about how like what it means when you don't feel like you're right and what you're doing is not what you should be doing, or you are not doing enough. And I think that it's really interesting how it tackled that. I almost wish it had dug into it just a little more, but I still feel like what it gave us was pretty accurate. And I think it was really interesting to finally hear Vernestra talk to someone about that, and to have Lula be like, dang, you're very successful. And Vern was like, yeah, that's not what she said, but she was like, don't worry, bestie, like you're not doing anything wrong. You're fine.
I'm now thinking of like, this is entirely different point, but still about the middle grade books, but how they're like the only ones that really had like, epic fun Star Wars trope of having a droid as like one of the main characters hanging out with them. Whereas the fun droids in like the adult and like young adult books?
The next book, in the Fallen Star, it is just a story about Stellan Gios getting basically C-3PO, but in the High Republic. That is my fan theory.
This could happen.
You mean that's where 3CPO gets canonized?
Fuck you.
No, I'm just thinking. For which podcast was that? It's another one of the epic fun Star Wars podcasts I'm pretty sure is like, mutuals with us. But they mentioned like, Anakin did not just like build C3PO from the like ground up. He found the parts and just kind of put him back together, but C3PO technically was around before that. He was just like trashed. So Anakin was just like, well, let me just fix up this old droid I found. Because otherwise, how else would fucking C3PO know all these like fucking languages and all this shit? You think Anakin just programmed that like little 9-year-old? I know he's supposed to be like special because fuck George Lucas is bad writing, but no, I'm pretty sure C3PO existed. So there's a chance that C3PO is actually walking around in the High Republic.
New concept, C3PO was Stellan Gios' droid. So C3PO comes to like the Jedi Temple later in like once we get to the prequels era, and he's like talking about it, and I know he doesn't really remember, but he's like, yes, my first master was Jedi Master Stellan Gios, and Obi-Wan's like does a spit take and he's like, oh, I love him, oh my god, I'm obsessed with him, I'm his baby, oh my god. He's like, what was he like? And C3PO's like, I don't remember. I do not have that stored in my memory banks, bestie.
That's why Bail Organa sends 3PO and R2, because he's like, okay, I know Obi-Wan's a Stellan Gios stan, so he'll listen to the message of 3PO's with R2.
Okay, sorry, it was the other podcast is Dark Side Diva. Shout out to them for they posted that little clip from their podcast on their TikTok, and that's how I learned that C3PO like existed before.
Are we ready to talk now about Out of the Shadows?
I would love nothing more.
Yes, but Out of the Shadows is really good because Justina Ireland, my beloved, right, giving us some good content, like with Vern again, because you know Vern is my bestie, my favorite, my special girl. But then also was like, here we go, here's Wreath, and I was like, yeah, both of them, I love it here. And
2 of them.
And then she did also, you know, give us epic girl boss Silvestri and her epic girl boss girlfriend Jordana. So there's that. Thank you, Justina Ireland.
Justina said you guys look like you need more girl bosses. Here you go. Girl boss honorary. Thank you.
She also gave us some Lourna, and then obviously Chansey too, Silvestri's mom. So there is so many epic girl bosses in this fucking book. I guess you can also count fucking Zylan Graf's like grandma if you want to include her too.
Yeah, and the oh my gosh, I cannot remember the name of his bodyguard. His head of security is also an epic girl boss.
Technically, frick, I feel bad for forgetting her name.
Is it Sasha or Basha maybe?
Basha, yeah. And then Gira Staros.
Yeah, Gira Staros and the cat.
Avon's mom.
Oh my god, and the cat.
The cats, oh yeah.
Literally,
so many girl bosses.
Truly. Thank you so much,
saw
Justina.
Fucking Avar for like a little bit because Vern talked to her. And Yaddle! She canonized Yaddle. Thanks, Justina. Well, technically, fuck. What was it?
Yaddle was already there.
Okay, but we got some canon Yaddle lore at least. That she was on a planet called Kronk.
And she also what is with like Yoda and Yaddle both be like, I'm gonna be teaching these kids. Is that just like a thing with maybe their species, or they're like more drawn to like teaching kids? Is Grogu gonna Grogu is the one who was like revitalizes the Jedi.
Okay, not Yoda's Mandalorian history of wanting to take care of a child is now kicking in. Yoda is the Mandalore.
Also,
oh my
Yaddles just speaks fucking normally. Yoda, what the fuck do you speak like that?
But yeah, there's a lot of girl bosses in Out of the Shadows. There's also, dare I say, quite a few boy bosses. Zylan Graf is a boy boss.
Oh, Zylan Graf, my fucking enemy.
Speaking of Zylan Graf, we did, so this is not speaking of him because I don't know I don't pretend to know his sexuality. But we did get some confirmed members of the LGBTQ community. One of the main POV characters and one of the drivers of the story, maybe the driver, is Silvestri Yarrow, who is a lesbian and is like her relationship with Jordana is like the focal point of this story. So it's really cool to see like a same-sex relationship be the literally the focal point of the story and one of the main drivers of what's going on. And I am obsessed with that.
I do like think it was very good like representation too, because yes, it was like a big part of her story was her relationship with Jordana, but it also wasn't like, I feel like it was done tastefully, or it wasn't just like a like I am gay, being gay is my whole personality kind of like deal like some writers tend to do with like here's your representation, and then like no one got fridged, which is good, so it wasn't like the sad lesbian tropes. So that was very good, but it still was like this is like part of my identity and like what is like driving some of my like my motivations, I guess, for like this story.
I will say that one of my favorite parts of Star Wars that we don't have a whole lot of information about, that I think the High Republic has been doing a little bit of delving into, is like how non-Force users see the Force and like interact with it. And Jordana Sparkburn, like, she believes in the Force, but she's not a Force user. And there's something, I don't know, I was like, Jordana Sparkburn, first of all, I'm obsessed with you. I'm in love with you. I totally get Sylvester's like, damn it, she's hot.
Jordana Sparkburn is something that can be so personal.
Yes.
God damn it. And she also has her epic cat that could kill you. So
that's a very lesbian thing to do of her. I love that. She said, I'm committing to the bit and I'm getting a violent cat.
I also like that Imri's like he has two story arcs in this book. Arc 1 is like, oh, figure out like what's your deal with like being an empath, but also he wants to pet that goddamn cat so badly.
Yeah, I never related to Imri more. Like I really like was like I kin this boy at like after reading A Test of Courage, and then this book I was like, holy shit, yeah, I kin this boy. I also want to pet animals that fucking will kill me.
No, Imri is like so. I also like I liked Imri after Test of Courage, but this book really made me be like, dang, Imri is very special little boy. He's a very special guy. Like I love that they made him like an empath, but he's not like all knowing what to do about emotions, because I think a lot of the times in stories where they have someone who is very empathetic, be it like they are actually have some sort of supernatural ability that gives them empathy, or if for whatever reason they're just empathetic, but a lot of the time that's portrayed as being like, I'm understanding what you're going through, so let me tell you how to fix it. Imri's like, I know what you're feeling, I don't know how to control it, and I do not understand it, but I do know what gay people are. I have heard of gay people. Vernestra, stop trying to mansplain being gay to me. But I do really like that he's like learning how to be a good empath. And I think that's a very powerful.
Another thing with like Imri being relatable is like him going to a crowded place and then feeling overwhelmed. I know it's because he is feeling everyone's emotions. So obviously he's just like, oh God, what the fuck do I do? And for me, it's just like, oh God, there's so many people here and I hate being around people. But very relatable moment for Imri, and yeah, him having to learn how to control his empath abilities, whereas Vern is also trying to learn some like shit because she's also going through some stuff.
I really loved Imri's like just vibe in this story. I think he is one of the best portrayals of like a teenage boy in Star Wars, because not only is he like dealing with like processing his emotions and the emotions of others around him and like struggling with that. I think here in the real world, not to quote Padme Amidala, but like, I think that there is like this concept of like teenage boys are just like that. Like they're just like mean and rude and like stinky. And while that can be true, I think also that like they're also like learning how emotions work just like the rest of us. And because of the society we live in, they're taught like, you know, we not to be a joker on main, but we live in a society. And so for Imri, who does not live in that same society, like he is able to like process like his own emotions and the emotions of others around him and empathize with that. So I love that. I also love that he is like a hungry teenage boy, like that scene where he like first
Eating
of all
fries.
yeah, he's just like, I'm going to town, please, I'm so hungry. Vernestra only lets me eat fucking fruit roll-ups, please. That's my headcanon. Anyways.
Oh, also another relatable Imri moment is fucking Imri having hero crush on Eivor Chris, because me too, Imri, me too.
I mean, I don't want to, not to be controversial, Eivor Chris sexy. Don't call me Elzar man.
Call me Elzar man, because I think Eivor Chris is pretty hot.
Yeah, basically.
I also like that sorry, now I'm thinking about that like whole like interaction on the Starlight Beacon and then them leaving the Starlight Beacon, and that fucking guy, that cloud man, was like, Vern, you are not allowed to drive. Gay people are not allowed to drive at the Starlight Beacon. I'm so sorry.
Okay. The fact confirmed LGBTQ community member Stellan Gios, he also cannot drive.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my god.
Like my master
Also,
before me.
Yeah, and this is also the book that did confirm that Vern is part of the LGBT
Period.
Q community, because she was like, yeah, I do not feel like sexual or romantic attraction. So canon, arrow, ace, Vernestra row.
That's also, I think, very cool, is a lot of the times, like, I think we talked about this in the last Rogue ones where we talked about Leox. A lot of arrow ace people, and I don't know if Leox is arrow, but I think the point still is important, is there's a lot of arrow ace people who are like either portrayed as being like emotionless and like robotic almost, but you
like
have
detached.
Yeah, exactly. But you do have characters like Vernestra who are just an epic girl boss. Like she's just very cool, and she's like a very complex regular character with, you know, strong emotions and deep connections to those around her. And I think that's like, it's really cool. I think it's really good representation. Speaking of representation, do we want to get to we haven't talked a lot about Comac and Wreath. Wreath, I really think Wreath is good representation for heterosexual people.
Yeah, there you go.
That's actually what I was going to talk about, because his crush on Vernestra did make me laugh very hard. I did make a meme. I made a meme, but I made an image of like that Facebook post where the guy is like, it's a picture of a girl and a guy, and the guy comments and he's like, oh my gosh, we look so much like a couple here. And the girl comments, a couple of besties. That is literally Wreath and Vern.
That is canon, because Justina Ireland did like that tweet. So
She did, and she responded too. So she did say like, this made me laugh. And I'm like, thank you so much, Justina. I appreciate you canonizing this.
I do think that Wreath is good representation for transgender straight people.
Period. Yeah. No, you're so true. Absolutely.
I agree with that, because as someone who is like non-binary and like trans and Kin's Wreath's Silas, I would like for him to also be like trans or non-binary.
Now, speaking of the other representation of that master Padawan situation, Comac girl, what are you doing?
Okay, now to be fair, this is the defense I will give. Maybe he wasn't like checking out Xylan Graph, but rather he was like just like looking at his outfit and being like, "Ooh, I'm into your style." But I do think that Comac Vitus did check out a 22-year-old.
Speaking of, something that did also happen at the beginning of this is there is a reference when they're like, "Oh yeah, Comac's gonna be here." There's a reference to the fact that there's a rumor that Comac was in love.
He was in love with Cantum Psy.
Stop.
God. I mean, period. Who isn't?
Everyone is just in love with Cantum Psy.
Not Comac and Buckets of Blood having beef because both of them are because they both are deeply in love with Cantum Psy.
Oh, Comac. I also just, I don't know. I think I want a book where we get to have more Comac Wreath adventures.
I agree with you, Mel, about wanting a book with more Comac and Wreath, because they were in this book, but like it was more about our epic girl bosses, Vernestra and Silvestri. So like it'd be nice because I want to know what the fuck's going on with Reef and Comac, because to my understanding, Comac never he still hasn't fucking dealt with his past drama. So I want to know how that is affecting his relationship with Reef as like master Padawan shit going on. And also now fucking Nan and Reef, like brief interaction in this book where Nan is just like, God damn it, Reef, why are you here again? This book first is bringing up like, you know, the device to pull things out of hyperspace, which, you know, we see doesn't get like even officially like up and running or like until like 200 years later in like current Star Wars stuff. So like this is the beginning of that technology coming into to play, and I thought that was pretty amazing, again tying things in.
I am thinking also about Chansey Yarrow and her epic girlfriend Lourna D. I want to see them kiss very badly.
I mean, listen. Also, first of all, sick Thrawn Alliance's reference with the gravity well. I cannot believe that Chansey Yarrow was the one who paved the way for that. Anyway, I'm so sorry. Please go on. Please talk about Auntie Lourna.
You can do it. Pave the way. Put your back into it.
Tell us why. Show us how. Look at you now. Marchion and all the Republic can fucking suck it. Anyways, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, Bo Burnham. This is my formal apology. Anyways, yeah, like, I don't know. I'm just thinking about Sylvester Yarrow calling Lourna D Auntie. Like, like after the whole incident happened, Stellan is like, okay, so I do have to do like an exit interview with you, just like make sure that we have on our reports like everything that happened. Can you like recount this? And she's like, yeah. And then I like ran into Auntie Lourna, and he's like, who?
I'm so sorry, but is calling like an adult like a friend of your parent auntie, or like a friend of someone, like an adult being like, yeah, this is my friend, and like, what do I call him? Like, auntie, is that not very gay? Of being like, I don't really know how to explain what being gay is to this child, so just call them, they're just your aunt. I'm so sorry. That screams fruity to me. And I do like mother, like daughter, WLW, Chansey and Sylvester Yarrow. That's very powerful.
I love that too. Also, Chansey teaching Nan to be her own girl boss, like her being like, you don't need Marchion Row. Go be your own girl boss. Go do epic things. Because fuck Marchion Row. Although I do worry that Nan is going to go back to him, like, after learning shit. She's like, yeah, I've learned how to be my own girl boss, but now I'm going to go back to my bestie, Marc, and kick Crix's ass and prove that I'm the better of us two.
I'm going to punch a kid in the face. Not clickbait. I've been thinking a lot about, like, the ending of Out of the Shadows and where it kind of leaves us. Because we have the audio drama, Tempest Runner, which we're not talking about this episode, because there's just so much there. And then Edge of Balance, and then we're gonna have like the comics, and that is it up until The Fallen Star. And I've just been thinking about that a lot. Of like, so we left that book in a place where I was like, okay, like sure, things are fine, but like, is there going to be another time jump? How much time are we going to be spending in the High Republic, I guess, is my bigger question, because we've already spent 2 years of this period.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a really good question. And I mean, I think that there's also a really big question too of, we know at the end of Out of the Shadows, Mari Santeca, rest in peace queen, she does pass away and give Vern, like, I guess give her the paths, or give her like one final path or something. She
sings the path by Lord.
Period. I do love
she gives her like secret path. I don't think she gave Marc. She's just like, here, this is between two girl bosses.
Yeah. So I do think something that is deeply troubling to me, that I cannot stop thinking about, is the idea of Marc somehow becoming, okay, you guys remember that scene from the end of Light of the Jedi where Marc is like he's talking to Loden, and Loden's like, my name's Loden Greatstorm, and he's like, oh, your last name's Greatstorm? That's so funny because our whole thing is like storm based. I'm really worried that there's going to be a scene where Marchion Ro has Vernestra, and he's like, what's your name? And she's like, Vernestra Ro, and he's like, oh my god, your last name's Ro? My last name is also Ro.
Not Battle of the Rose.
Time for me to use the leveler on you. So I am extremely worried that, or he's going to try to put her in the Mari Santeca pickle jar.
No, not pickle Vern.
But I guess the question I have too is like, oh, she's green. No. But the question too is, how long is Marc going to be able to be like recycle paths before the other Nihil are like, hey, what's up?
I like it all just kind of being like drawings that Mari did, and like one of them is just like a little smiley, like it's like two stick figures and they're like holding hands, and it's like Mari and Marc. When I was re-listening to Light of the Jedi, there's that scene, it's the first scene that we see with Mari, where Marc is like, she's the closest thing I have to a family. I'm going to electrocute her now, like 5 times in a row. And I was like, fuck you, dude.
Yeah, he does it fucking so angry, like, dude, he just progressively just like, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. He has problems. It's the same thing with what happened to his dad, where he fucking stomped on his like face like 5 times to kill him.
Why are Marc and Kylo not in like the same aggression, like counseling? Like someone help these men, please.
Truly. Oh my god, we've cracked the code. That's what makes them not poor little meow meows. Violent outbursts. That's it.
I also like the idea of Kylo Ren goes into the world between worlds and pops up in the High Republic, and they're like, first of all, he ends up on a Maxine station and is like, huh?
He's like, wait, I've been here before.
I've been here before. And then Marc is like, hello, Kylo. Would you like to go to counseling together? And then they do.
He's like, no, fucking Marc uses the leveler on Kylo Ren.
Okay. That's like, I'm not a huge fan of those like YouTube videos that are like, who would win in a fight? That's one I would watch. Because I do think it'd be very funny. I do like boy boss versus boy boss.
Marc versus Kyle cage match.
I do Marc like no force, no lightsabers, who wins? I will say, if no force, obviously Marc, right?
Yeah, I just unfortunately think that like both of them are nepotism babies to some like level, but I do think that Marc is just like genuinely evil, and I do think that Kylo is like, not to be like, oh, he's misunderstood, misguided, but like he was like manipulated. Kylo is being manipulated, and Marchion is the manipulator. Welcome to my TED Talk.
I agree with that.
Yeah, I do as well. I do think that I do just like the idea of Marchion Ro and Kylo being like, I am the grandson of Darth Vader. I will show you the power of the dark side. And then Marchion Ro's like, anyway, and just kicks him to the curb. Stomps Kylo Ren.
Do you want to see my fucking crazy ass dog?
Speaking of his crazy ass dog and fucking Out of the Shadows, the fact that they took Imri and Reith and they're just like, yeah, we're gonna send these 2 Jedi boys to Marc because he needs them for some reason. He was gonna fucking test the leveler on these 2 boys, and Nan snuck into prison to be like, what the fuck, Reith? Are we doing this again?
Oh my god. Also, I did totally forget. I mean, I didn't forget, but the idea of testing the leveler on Reith and Imri is so deeply upsetting.
Yeah, like they just left the other, like Vern and Comac. They're like, we'll take these 2 teenage boys. Why not?
They're like, these 2 seem too good.
Okay, 2 things that have just occurred to me. Where was Comac during that like final battle? Like, what was he doing? What was he up to?
Wasn't he like getting a ship or
something?
Okay.
I was trying to remember what was he doing.
I do think it'd be very funny if he was just like, I need to take a cigarette break. I'll be right back.
He's like,
you kids can deal with this. I'll be in the car.
The Nihil broke my vape rig. I have to go replace it. No, okay, so I am also thinking, and this is very funny in my head, but it's very disturbing actually said aloud, because we do know of like what the leveler does, at least to Bell Zettifar and Loden Greatstorm. I do like the idea of the leveler being just like this big Lovecraftian evil force taker awayer dog creature. And I do enjoy the idea of Imri and Vreeth just like running away from him, like children running away from him. Or like the fucking Sandlot.
I do like the idea of it being this weird animal, and Imri's like, oh, it's kind of cute. Come here, buddy.
Like, don't fucking touch
the idea that he pets it and it's like, oh, it's so cute. Oh, it likes you. And then he looks over at Marchion Row and he's like, your move, bitch.
He just wants pets.
That's he just wants pets. Marc. Because Imri pets the leveler and the leveler's like, you know what? I like this kid.
Imri, Elzar, petting zoo adventure when?
POV,
Vern would never let Imri hang out with Elzar.
His step grand Padawan. You wouldn't let him hang out? Oh.
Vern.
She's just like, no offense, Master. Uncle Elzar is kind of...
She calls him uncle in the same way that Sylvester called Lourna aunt.
Yeah.
So I would like to bring my updated kin list to the table now that we are basically up to date with High Republic content. We're missing one or two things. POV, I actually kin whatever the fuck Stellan Gios is doing in the Life Day book. No, that's not true. My updated kin list is basically still the same thing. I kin Kiev, I kin Bell, to some unfortunate large extent, Honesty Weft. I think also characters I kin with the newer stuff are characters like I think there's something to be said about Farzala to some lesser extent. I do enjoy that gentleman and his kind of journey that he goes on in the High Republic adventures. Ty York, holy fucking shit. I love Ty York so much. I don't know if I kin her per se, but I am obsessed with that woman so much.
So yeah, I will also give my updated kin list. Again, it's very similar. I think I might to some extent. I don't know if I do at this point in my life, but I think there was a time where I would have kinned Lula. The sort of imposter syndrome gifted kid is very real for me, and not to be like I'm the gifted and talented program, but I think there is very much something about that, the way that she talks about imposter syndrome is very good and very interesting and very relatable. I also really do like the High Republic adventures, how it focuses so much on the power of friendship, which I really love that, and I love Lula's take on that and her place in that story. I also will say probably my new Wave 2 number 1 kin is my man Stellan Gios, and that is for one reason, and I realized it at this one reason was in The Rising Storm in one of the early chapters when Stellan is on the call with Elzar and Smear is in the room and they're having that conversation about how they want to structure who's protecting the Republic fair. And they get off the call and Smear is like, geez, I met a lot of Jedi, but that guy's intense. And Elzar's like, oh no, he just likes things done a certain way. And she's like, he's kind of annoying. I'm like, oh my God, same. I always am like, oh my God, I bet everyone's thinking that about me. But that was I was like, oh, can't help but kin this man. But I also am obsessed with Elzar man, so I also do kin that. Yeah, I don't know. I just something about him, something about the way that he goes through it. I do very much respect that. I also very much respect his struggle, because in Out of the Shadows, when Vernestra's goes in to talk to him, she's like, damn, you good? And he's like, not really, but I am too busy to be ill right now. So, which I can respect. I'm like, yeah, got a lot going on.
My kin list, I'm pretty sure, is the same, because all of the characters I kin in the High Republic stuff were already introduced in Wave 1. So, but I guess I could talk about it because I listened to our Rogue One before, and I realized I didn't actually go into detail about why I kin these characters. So refresher, my kin list is Reith Silas, Bel Zettifar, Imri Canteros, and Elzar Man. But Reith, just a lad who was like, I want to just stay home. Mom, please don't send me to the fucking frontier. I don't want to move out to who knows where. Please just leave me here. And I found that very relatable, but also in the sense that I also, if someone were like telling me like nice like things and being like, wow, I'm so interested in what you're saying, I think I wouldn't be able to shut up too. So like that moment with fucking Reith and Nan in Into the Dark was relatable for me too. And then Imri, just like I said earlier when we were talking about Imri in like Out of the Shadows, everything with Imri, yeah, that's my special boy, him and Vern, the special children. And then Elzar, I just, something about Elzar, man, is very relatable to me, where I also go through it and then don't tell anyone. I'm so sorry, that's such a bad trait. But yeah,
I do hate that both of us also had that, because I basically said the same thing as to why I kin Stellan, so I love that for us.
And then like Elzar, I also am in love with Avar and Stellan. So why do I kin Bell? I think I don't remember why I kin Bell, but I just found Bell so relatable when I first related to him. Come back to me on that. Eventually I'll remember why I kin Bell. There was reasons. And actually now I remember the hidden kin. The hidden kin. I have mentioned this before too, but it is the problematic kin of Jess and Marchion Rowe shaking hands. And it is only because of my terrible like father issues and also slight anger issues that like none of the pod hosts have actually fully like seen. And yeah, those are my kins. I'm sorry.
Don't apologize for kinning.
No, I apologize for kidding Marchion Rowe because it is shitty.
Don't apologize for party rocking.
Yeah. Don't apologize for being a Katy Perry stan. No, Kassav is a Katy Perry stan. I'm so sorry.
That's Kassav. Sorry.
Who do
no,
we think?
Like
who does Marchion Rowe stan?
I
Lord.
said on the Twitter
No.
because I said Marchion Rowe is an ABBA stan because I stan ABBA. So I was like, Marchion Rowe also likes ABBA by extent because we are the same person.
That's valid. I think that's fair. It seems like something he would. I do love the idea of Marchion Rowe. Really, like, his favorite movie is Mamma Mia, but he doesn't want to tell anyone about it because he's embarrassed.
He tells his bird boyfriend about it and then kills him.
Yeah.
See,
and then that video where that Pan Ada shows the other Tempest runners about him like talking about Mari, but it's just him saying that Marchion Rowe's favorite movie is Mamma Mia.
I realize another reason I relate to Marc. Marc has his bird boyfriend, and one of my favorite games is Hatoful Boyfriend, which if you all don't know is the fucking bird dating sim. It's a really deep game. Trust me. There's like a hidden true ending that's really fucked up.
Wow, talk about fucked up endings, just like the Rising Storm.
Yeah. We hope you enjoyed our discussion on the second wave of the High Republic, and thank you for sticking with us these last couple episodes post-bad as we try to get a hold on the format of the pod now. If you enjoyed this, leave a review on Apple Podcast, even if it isn't your podcatcher, because it really helps us out. Follow us at RuPalp's Podrace on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok, and subscribe to us on your preferred podcatcher. And may the force be with you, and don't priff it up. Ride the storm, besties.
Ride the storm, besties.
We are one, we are many, we are me, we are you. So much joy, so much love, so much peace, it is true. From distant worlds, distant planets, we stand together and sing. The future's bright and united, let the galaxy ring.